And welcome to the Culture Show, the show where we talk about African mythology and how it relates to us today. I'm AC3, I'm a total mythology geek, I love all mythology, and I've been curious about African mythology, so I decided to learn more about it. And now I will tell you what I've learned and how it relates to us today. So, on this episode, OLOKUN doesn't like people trespassing on her land. What will she do about it, and how will it be fixed? All that and more in today's episode, so stay tuned. On our last episode of the Culture Show, we talked about how Obatala created mankind in the village of Ife. On today's episode, it's part 3 of the creation story. It's the final part, where all the people we've learned from part 1 and part 2 all return, and even a new character in this epic battle between OLOKUN and the rest of the gods to protect Ife. What's going to happen? Well, that's coming up. But first, character introductions. Character introductions. Yep. Obatala, also known as the original, is the god of creation. OLOKUN, who is only featured in part 3, is the god of the sea and wealth. Olorun is the supreme god. Orunmila, the god of divination and your destiny. The new character is Eshu. Now, there are many trickster gods in mythology. Think of Loki, Hades, and an Egyptian, Set. Well, the Orishas have Eshu. He's the god of trickery and the mischief. He's also the messenger of Olorun, so it might not be very responsible, as we would say. Now, time for the story of how OLOKUN almost destroyed Ife. When we last left our hero Obatala, he had just created the world, mankind, and Ife, the first African village. After he lived among the people for a while, he decided that the time had come to him to retire. He'd done all he can for his people. So he climbed up the chain and went back into the sky, promising to visit the earth as much as he can. The other gods never tired of Obatala describing the kingdom he had created below. Many were so captivated by the image that they decided to go to the sky and go down from the sky and live among them. As they prepared to leave, Olorun took them aside and consulted them. Each of you shall have a special role while you are down there, and I ask you never forget your duty to the human race. Always listen to the prayers of the people and offer help when they are in need. One deity, however, was not pleased with Obatala's work and all the praise he had been received from Olorun. The goddess, OLOKUN, ruler of the sea. She watched with increasing fury. One by one, the gods arrived in her domain and began dividing up her land amongst themselves. Obatala never consulted me about any of this, she announced angrily, but he shall pay for this insult to my honor. The gods commanded the great waves of the ocean to rise up, for it's her intention to destroy the land that Obatala had created and replace it with water once more. The terrible flood began, and soon the fields were completely submerged. Crops were destroyed, and thousands of people were swept away by the roaring tide. Those who survived the deluge fled to the hills and called to Obatala for help, but he could not hear them from his home high above the sky. In desperation, the people turned to Eshu, as you might remember from our character introduction, the trickster god. Please return to the sky, they begged, and tell the great gods of the flood that threatened to destroy everything. First, you must show me that you revere the gods, replied Eshu. You must offer up a sacrifice and pray so hard that you will be saved. People went away and returned with a goat, which they sacrificed as food for Obatala. But still, Eshu refused to carry the message. You asked me to perform this great service, he told them, and yet you do not offer to reward me. If I am a messenger, I too deserve a gift. The people offered up more sacrifices to Eshu, and only when he was content that they had shown him appropriate respect did he climb up the golden chain back to the sky to deliver his message. Obatala was deeply upset by the news and extremely anxious for the safety of his people, for he was uncertain how best to deal with the powerful goddess as OLOKUN. Once more, he approached Orunmila and asked for advice. Orunmila consulted his divining nuts. Last said to OLOKUN, "Rest here in the sky, while I descend below. I will use my gift to turn the water and make the land rise again." Orunmila went down, using his special powers, brought the waves under control, so the marshes began to dry up and the land became visible again. But although the people agreed to God their Savior and pleaded with him to act as their protector, Orunmila confessed that he had no desire to remain among them. Before he departed, however, he passed on a great many gifts to the people, teaching them how to divine the future and control the unseen forces of nature. What he taught the people was never lost, and it was passed on like a precious heirloom from one generation to another. The end. So, that was the story of OLOKUN'S Revenge from the Yoruba people in West Africa. Now, how does it relate to us today? Well, first, ask permission. Always. I mean, not always. Sometimes you don't have to. But always. Obatala never asked Olokun permission to do any of this. So, first, ask permission, and he wouldn't be into trouble in the first place. Second, we all need help sometimes. And Obatala needs help a lot in this journey. He asked help from Orunmila, Obatala, but mostly Orunmila. He was the guy that he really needed to help him out. And we all need somebody to lean on, really, that the song says. Somebody to help us out through this chaotic world. So, those are our two things of the story that relate to us today. Time for today's question of the day. And today's question is, who do you got to help you when times get tough? Who you got? Well, I got my mom and my dad. They're always there to help me out when I need something. Like this podcast. Mom just gave me a tablet. I knew what to do. She trusts me to do this podcast. So, I did it. And Dad, he's always helping me out with a lot of stuff. My parents. But what about you? Who is there to help you through your problems? Let me know in the comments or through the Q&A links in my podcast, and maybe I'll feature you on the next episode of my podcast. Well, that's the show. Thank you for listening to The Culture Show, the show where we talk about African mythology and how it relates to us today. In the next episode, we finally give you an introduction to the Orisha, all the gods, goddesses, and their powers, especially how they got them. Also, my birthday's on Tuesday, so happy birthday to me, and thank you for anybody who gave me presents on that day. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time on next episode. Also, make sure to subscribe and give us a review, and I'll see you next time. Bye!